up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome into Outside the Trenches, a podcast brought to you by Jack Stack Barbecue. As you can tell, BJ Kissel once again not with us on today's episode. My name is Tucker Franklin, taking you through the latest what's going on in Chiefs Kingdom, and I'm here joined by Super Bowl champion Nick Leckey. Nick, how are you doing today?
It's great. It's Friday. I'm excited. So it's nothing going on in the NFL, but we've managed to piece together some information and keep the hits rolling. So I'll be excited about today.
Yeah, we're really in that dead period, right, of NFL news, and really until March 16th is when the league new year starts. That's really when it's going to be picking up. Combine, I believe, starts March 1st, but it's like a week-long process where they are in meetings from March 1st to there's a bunch of stuff going on too with like the NFL changing how the combine's been run, and then I know JC Trotter was tweeting out this is how a league runs without a union, and I think that there's a huge conversation that can be had there, but we didn't prepare to talk about that today because we're going to talk about the big news of Eric Bieniemy returning as offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. I say it's big news, but I think as time went on, we kind of anticipated it. But we'll dive into that a little bit later. But we got to thank Jack Stack Barbecue. Make sure you take advantage of their a la carte sale. You can go to their website, check that out, get Jack Stack Barbecue shipped all over the place, all over the country. Wherever you are, you can get your Jack Stack Barbecue. Also, before we get into it, this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? You or someone you love could be falling into depression or struggling with anxiety, and it can keep you from what you care about. And BetterHelp will assist you in your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You'll be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. And the best part about this is it's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be available locally in Kansas City or wherever you are. So that's what's nice about this BetterHelp app. And the services available for clients worldwide. You can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. Visit betterhelp.com/KCSN. That is better, HELP. And join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an advanced, experienced professional. Once again, that special offer for KCSN listeners is get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/KCSN. Go ahead and take advantage of that. If you are struggling with your mental health, make sure to reach out and get help. Listen, my DMs are always open too. So if people want to just talk, I'm always down to talk to people about their mental health and everything like that. We're in some weird times right now, Nick. We're continually living through history. And if you need to talk, man, DMs are always open. Don't be afraid to reach out. So let's get into the football stuff, Nick. Eric Bieniemy coming back to Kansas City as the offensive coordinator. I want to get your first reactions, your first thoughts on that.
It's interesting to me that he is coming back. I think that a part of him just wants to be here. I think he knows what's special, what's going on here, and maybe he can take some more tidbits from Andy Reid. It was always interesting to see the news cycle regarding head coaching candidates and everything like that. I am very disappointed that once again, there's only one black head coach. So I know that's a lightning rod that was hired. And it's just, to me, it's just indicative of not really anything, but it's like, you got to give new people a shot, but it's just musical chairs with all these coaches where it's like, even now I think, media report stuff, they go, okay, this coach is about to get fired, but, potential landing spots are here, here, and here. And it's like, why do you fire a coach when he gets hired? It's the only sport in the world, right? It's like CEOs. You just rotate spots. And it's mind-boggling to me how you don't get fresh blood in there, man. It's broken. Fix it.
100%. Yeah, and I think that's a good conversation to have. I believe BJ and Jeff Allen did a podcast a few weeks ago, kind of just about the Rooney Rule and everything like that. And Lovie Smith did get hired this cycle to the Texans. That means there's 2 black coaches now. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
that was a weird deal. That was a weird deal. Like what happened there?
It seems like the same situation with David Coley, right? It seems like it's the same thing that's going to happen to Lovie Smith. And listen, Lovie's really worked his way back up from the Bears because he was with the University of Illinois. Then he went somewhere else. I can't remember. And now he's back at the NFL head coaching ring. So good for Lovie. I want to see Lovie do well in Houston. That's one of those coaches that, as I was a kid, he was the head coach of the Bears. So I always associate him with the Bears. So I want to see him do well at the NFL level. And coaching is a weird thing, right? It's all just like the same people just mixed around, jumbled up to different teams. Um, and I think that's really interesting too when we talk about Eric Bieniemy, and you talk about Eric Bieniemy coming back to this system he's familiar with. He's been with for golly, how long has he been with the team as
It's been a
offensive
minute.
coordinator?
It's been a
Yeah,
minute.
it's been he's probably been the longest serving offensive coordinator for Andy Reid in his time in Kansas City. I don't know that. I'll have to do some research after I throw it to you, but I think it's got to be right because you had Peterson, you had Nagy, Childress as well. So I mean I think that this is really interesting that he does come back, especially after all of the outside noise surrounding it, and not necessarily saying that any of that noise was true. Maybe some of it was. We'll never know the full story, right? We're not close enough to know the full story. But I think the outside noise, and especially the report with Schefter saying that like they're going to have a meeting, his contract's up, they don't anticipate him to come back, things like that, and all those situations, the kind of talking points around it didn't seem like he was going to be back. So for him to come back, it was kind of, I don't want to say shocking, because I think as time went on, you're like, okay, Eric Bieniemy's coming back. As the
Yeah.
Chiefs didn't announce anything for 2 weeks after that meeting, 3 weeks after that meeting, you're like, okay, it's Eric Bieniemy. That's who they're going to hire, or it's going to be Matt Nagy. And Matt Nagy could still come back and be the quarterback's coach. They still have a quarterback coach vacancy open. So I think that that's really interesting. Instead of trying to get a new voice, a new person, a new up and comer into this system to work with Patrick Mahomes, they're sticking with Bieniemy. They're sticking with the guy that they've had, and they still have that vacancy at quarterback coach. So what are the kind of the when you think about this, what are the pros and cons of this? I guess I mean it's kind of an elementary thing to do with this situation,
Right.
because you do it in fourth grade with a book. All right, pros and cons, but the pros and cons of bringing Eric Bieniemy back. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I think you look at cons and you say, some suspect play calling, but I hear all the noise, right? And I hear that someone released not the audio, but they said there was beefing during an early week, and I'm sure there probably was, yeah, because no one's happy
Yeah.
when you're losing and you're getting your butts kicked. That's miserable. You want to fight everybody, especially within there. So then that was a hit piece on him for a contract piece, team propaganda, that someone else was a pawn in the game. And to me, it's like the con is that the play calling, right? You go, what happened? Where was the answer in the second half? But I think you got to look at, when you look at seasons and when you evaluate seasons and coaching, you look at the full spectrum of the season, right? And did this offense get better? If you brought in someone new, I'll get to the pros now. If you brought in someone new, they don't know they've seen what this O-line can do, but do they have a good feel for what this O-line can do? I mean, it's a revamped O-line. So he's going to want to get year 2 with them interacting with this offense, and sort of I hope there's some changes in the offense to see, hey, we can do some stuff now that we weren't able to do in the past. And let's throw in some nuances. Let's change up the game a little bit. We know what Patrick can do. We know what receivers can do, and you build off that. So I think the pros and outweigh the cons of the fact that continuity and familiarity with this offensive system and how it has changed last year from week 1 to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting too. When you talk about that, when you want to bring in a new voice, maybe you bring it in at that QB position level, that quarterback coach level, and maybe you bring that in there, because Mike Kafka did, contribute to the offense quite a bit. He was a part of the conversation on game days, especially the play calling conversation too. We saw all kinds of stuff, and then Kafka got a good opportunity to be New York Giants OC. Excited to see what he does. I think he's full potential. Maybe he comes back to Kansas City eventually. We'll see. But I think that it'll be interesting to see who they do hire at quarterback coach. I know there's a little bit of speculation on the old Instagram. The Mahomeses were having their bachelor and bachelorette parties. You know who was at who was at Patrick Mahomes' bachelor party?
Who?
Alex Smith was at the bachelor
party. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, if the Chiefs hire Alex Smith as a quarterback's coach, Chiefs might go 20-0. No cap.
Is there a better quarterback coach for Patrick Mahomes than Alex Smith? I don't think so. I think that's perfect.
In the history of draft picks, no quarterback has ever groomed their draft pick. I mean, listen, as an example, in New Orleans, I was the backup, and we traded up in the 5th round to get a center in the 5th round. And did I mentor that person? No, hell no. And that's a 5th rounder backup spot, man. And so, like, let alone a 1st rounder, hey, you're out next year, mentor him. So for Alex Smith to be his coach as a player to player, and then for Alex Smith to be his coach to a player, it's a beautiful fit. And it's one of those things where I always reference the Ravens and how they went to Louisville and got Lamb's playbook and worked with his coaches. And we're like, hey, what is he like? Let's incorporate that. And that's how you build a custom suit for Patrick Mahomes and this offense. Yep. Is Alex Smith. And he's my favorite broadcaster too, or whatever.
Listen, I don't know if he has any interest in coming and being a coach. And he's a good broadcaster. You mentioned that. So maybe that he likes that instead. Really, for former players, that's where the money is. It's not like in coaching. They don't make the same amount of money that players do. I know that we talked about that with Sean McVay of him wanting to like dip out and then go into broadcasting, because I think he would be a very good broadcaster.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to see. In broadcast news, I don't know if you saw this. There's a deal that Troy Aikman's going to go to Monday Night Football.
Okay, listen. I just cannot. I love Troy Aikman. He's a hero, but he's the biggest hater on quarterbacks. He's a hater, and it's like he's insecure is what the problem is. I think it's what it is, man. I'm like, dude, you're a legend. Like, dude, you don't have to be like this, but he'll just like speak negative. I'm like, you could have said something positive. You chose negativity there, and it's like for him to get that role, it's like, is there anybody else? Like, I think I could do this. Going from like a noon Tony Romo to like the 4 p.m. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It's so bad, dude. It's awful. I'm like, oh, sorry. What? Sorry, I was asleep. What happened? Yeah.
I like Tony Romo. I know there's some people that don't. I like Tony Romo, and I think that the energy that him brings, especially with Jim Nantz, right, is who he's with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. With Jim Nantz, I almost said Kevin Harlan. I was like, that's not right.
That would be too perfect.
That would be really good. But Jim Nantz is also a legend. I love that broadcasting crew. Unpopular opinion of mine, my favorite broadcasting crew is Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. And it might just be because I love everything Chris Collinsworth does, from the slide to just like, now here's a guy. And I take in everything about Chris Collinsworth, and I think it's funny. And Al Michaels is a legend in his own right. So I think that there's just something about it that is also nostalgic to me, right? Because like the Sunday Night Football theme is my favorite theme of all of the football songs. Maybe we should have saved this for a blind nil. I thought about that, but like,
really should.
Dude, my favorite football theme has to be that. And I know, like, obviously while you're playing, you don't hear the themes, which maybe they should play them while you're on the field. So that'd be kind of cool. What's your favorite?
My favorite is it's a toss up. I love Romo Nantz just because you can tell Romo puts in zero work researching, like zero work, and I respect the hell out of that. It's just the cool kids showing up on test day. Hey, what's up? What are we doing? Oh, we got a test. Okay, cool. Let's do it. And just comments on it. Like it's actual, like Romo's so different just because he knows the game, he understands it, and he does digest the game in between, and he can analyze it, and he can predict things. He can see trends and stuff like that, which that's why I like Romo. Now, to your point about Collinsworth is like detailed notes, well researched. He bought into Pro Football Focus early on, and he brings the stats. And then as Al Michaels is with him, that's Al Michaels and Collinsworth. Sometimes I feel like Al Michaels is his first time watching football. It's like sometimes like I was just like happy to be there. He's like, I'm just here, what's up? And it's just but the chemistry works. And the Nantz Romo chemistry is so, because like here's Nantz, he's like the Masters, right? He calls them Masters, and he's got Romo, who's drunk at the Masters but is an amazing golfer. So my favorite, I get the most excited for Romo. I do. I really do. Yeah. But I think Sunday night is the best football. Monday night is
100%.
Yeah, Sunday night.
I'm not big on Monday Night Football. Something happened. I think that something happened with Monday Night Football. It's like, I think it might have been like the not being able to flex games, right? And now they are after like week 14, but like the schedule was like set for Monday Night Football. Then you got some stinkers on Monday night. You got like Broncos Raiders Monday night, and both teams are like 500. and like it's
Not
just like
good.
this sucks.
It's a terrible
But
product. It's a terrible product.
yeah, but back to my point about Alex Smith being the Chiefs quarterback coach. I think
It's
that
ridiculous.
that would be awesome. That'd be fun. Like I said, I don't know if he wants to get into coaching, but hey, that's got to be one of those guys that you're looking at like, okay, he can add a different voice, I guess you could say, into that room, into that offense, but also has experience in that offense, so it can be kind of diverse almost in a way.
No, he could. I think it'd be the perfect hire, and I really hope the Chiefs pursue it. And you think Patrick, like, okay, so even if Alex Smith was a dick and didn't give Patrick the time of day when he was there, which he didn't, for him to come back as coach would be phenomenal. But then the fact that he groomed him and now he's come back, so he's like, oh man, I trusted this guy as a player, and now I trust this guy as a coach. And plus, like I said, Alex Smith, he's got a pulse. He's got a pulse on the players, right? He knows what Patrick's thinking, what he's going through, and he get him in the right positions. And you know who was a damn good athlete out of Utah State? Alex Smith. So I think Alex Smith could teach Patrick how to run the ball a little bit more effectively as well. I mean, Patrick is fast. He does his thing. But Alex Smith is one of the most beat up quarterbacks in league history. Those Niners teams he's on from 05 on were terrible. I know. I used to play against them.
They were not good. I think that was the most underrated part about Alex Smith's game is his legs. He was sneaky with the legs, and I can remember the game against the Chargers, like open the season, he scored that touchdown, the rushing touchdown at the pylon. That was good stuff, and one of the best Chiefs pictures of all time came from that game. It's just like man in the arena type stuff right there. That's raw emotion.
Don't say that.
But
we're not making Tom Brady references. Is that a poem?
No, I mean that was I don't know. I think it's just like an old saying, right? You say just made in the arena. I know that that's that Tom Brady's kind of like monopolized that that phrase now.
So
but
he co-opted it.
Yeah, I think as Tom Brady has done, he's just taken ownership over it. That's what he usually does. So Nick, I have decided to opt out of beef of the week because there's plenty of beef going on.
There's no beef. Oh wait, we need one less beef.
We need a little bit less beef, but if you need some great beef, go to Jack Stack Barbecue and take advantage of the sale they got going on. I believe it's till March 6th. I don't have the ad up in front of me, but this is all off the dome here. You can get 40% off the a la carte stuff and plus free shipping if you spend over $150. So go check that out. Make sure you go hit up Jack Stack Barbecue if you're in Kansas City. If you want a place to have some barbecue, it's a good place to do it. But Nick, listen, we don't have a whole lot going on, but what we do have going on is Blind Nil. And I've given us plenty of time to completely divulge into these blind nils. So what do you got this week, Nick?
All right. So this is regarding Aaron Rodgers and his recent dramatics and Greg Jennings calling him out. Okay. So I don't know if I should I set you up like with the Tom Brady stuff? Should I set you up that way? Okay, so how would you do if you're Aaron Rodgers? What direction are you trying to Dak Prescott it and Mahomes it and be the highest paid quarterback, or are you trying to win championships and be like Tom Brady and be like, pay me top 10 money, maybe top 10, 15 money, and that way you can have that cap space to build a team around me? What are you doing? Knowing that you could get hurt, and it's like you're leaving money on the table, and it's like maybe you got, a family you want to start one day or, buy Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. As you were saying that, I just looked over at my phone and I got a notification from Tom Pelissaro saying the Chiefs are hiring Matt Nagy as their senior assistant and quarterbacks coach. So the dream of Alex Smith being a quarterback coach is dead. I need to get your immediate thoughts on Matt Nagy as quarterbacks coach. I think that was the layup. I think that was kind of a predicted move because with Matt Nagy not having a job, maybe he's going to take care of his guys. What do you think about that?
I always like when guys, because where he was the head coach at Chicago, where yes, I forget. Yes. Yeah. And it was not the best situation there. So for a head coach to come back and just be a quarterback's coach, and he kind of had an outsider's perspective of Matt Nagy as well, of Patrick Mahomes. So I really like that pickup where it's like, okay, here's how the league thinks about him, and here's how they try to attack him, and then you can counter that. So it's kind of cool. So it's like he had Andrea had a double agent, go out there and then see how the league feels. What's the outside opinion? what the Chiefs need to do, and then hopefully they'll bring that in and incorporate that into the system. And then another set of eyes and ears on this offense as well too. It'd be sweet.
It could be good because he was away for a little bit.
Mhm.
I think he was in Chicago. What was it, 3-4 years? I can't remember.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
But he all these years blend together. He was away for a little bit, so he does have that fresh kind of new eyes coming in and look at it, but he still has that old knowledge, if that makes any sense. So
Mhm.
I think it was anticipated as time went on, like I mentioned earlier with the Bieniemy thing. You kind of assumed this was going to happen. I think Matt Lane even said as time moves on, it's either Matt Nagy or Eric Bieniemy as OC. And then you get both of them. And I don't think this is a surprise at all. A little Friday news dump here from the Chiefs, trying to slide one past us. Little do they know we're already recording, and we can just go ahead and jump all over it. So the Chiefs have all their coaching vacancies filled now. All of their coaching vacancies are filled with Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator, Matt Nagy coming back to Kansas City and being the quarterback's coach. And Nick, you're blind nil about Aaron Rodgers. Like, what do I think he's gonna do? I think that Ian Rappaport, who is a frequenter on the Pat McAfee show as well as Aaron Rodgers, he said that he didn't take any new money last year, and he's probably not going after new money this year, which I think is incredibly interesting.
Mhm.
So that really just comes through as he wants to be somewhere else. He doesn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. And can I blame him? I don't think that I can, because it seems pretty cold up there, and I think he wants to go to California. He's a California boy. He wants to be out there, be out with the nice weather. So it's interesting. That whole situation is odd, and it's even weirder because the Packers don't have an owner, and I think that's what
Yeah,
makes
right.
it weird too. And like their GM makes a lot of the calls, and yeah, it's weird up in Green Bay. It has been for really ever since he got there, ever since he took the starting job. It's been weird, but yeah, it's all very odd.
It is. Well, but then you look at the game where everyone's always like, well, he choked in the playoffs. Well, it is 1 year and you got lucky. The Niners really got after him. But you look at Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. Look at that Kansas City game. I
Yeah,
mean, KC got lucky to beat Green Bay that week with no Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers in there, man. They're getting dusted, absolutely dusted. So it's like if you're Green Bay, man, you want to hold on to him, but at the same time, it's like you gotta be like, hey, buddy, let's get some Tom Brady, Bob Kraft stuff where we'll pay you, top 10, 50 money, but we'll give you cash on the side.
yeah.
Have that Robert Kraft deal.
You do. You have to do the old signing bonus thing that they're
Mm-hmm.
going to do with Pat, where they're going to restructure it, right? They're going to restructure him and give him all of his money up front, and he'll play on a league min deal. And that's just what you got to do these days, right? These
Mm-hmm.
GMs are so smart with how they manipulate the cap, and I know that there's, especially in Kansas City, Brant Tillis is a cap guru, and there's a big team with Ryan Poles was a part of this as well. I know he was more on the player personnel side of things, but there's a whole team of guys that go into just like the front office. When you think of the general manager, yeah, Brett Veach is the face of it, and he does a lot of it. There's a lot of guys behind him that work, and they aren't shy about giving the other guys credit either. I think that's what's so great about the front office in Kansas City, is that they're always willing to give credit for the other guys. Brent Tillis got a huge shout out from Brett Veach and really everyone involved when it came to the Mahomes deal and then how they structured it. And I always love the time of the year when people tweet out who aren't familiar with the Mahomes deal. They're like, well, next year Patrick Mahomes is going to make $500 billion, and the Chiefs are screwed. They're like, oh, so you don't know how his contract works. That's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's your first time here. So what are you doing?
If it's me, I'm chasing the money, right? In a capitalistic society. But like I said, for him, man, I don't think it's about the money. I think for him, he just wants to be out of Green Bay. He wants to be in a better position to win. But I don't know if he gets out of there though, is the thing. And if you're the Packers, how do you let him out? Like, you can't.
Yeah, it'd be difficult. It'd be really difficult, man. 'Cause, you trust the backup, right? He didn't play that well, when he had his chance. So you're like, geez, and it's like, and if you're LaFleur, right? Is Aaron Rodgers making you look good, right? So you're like, hey, dude, I'll give you some of my money. So yeah, it'd be big decisions, man. I think he could do well back home in NorCal and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
and I think
I
they're
think so too.
contenders. I think that'd
You
be
know,
a good fit.
that they're not going to trade him to an NFC team. I think is kind of
That's good.
what was out, and he wants to be in the West Coast. So you're looking at a West Coast AFC team. That's why the Broncos were big. I think the Raiders were also out there as a team that could be happening. Chargers also out there in the AFC.
Yeah,
That's
and they're
really
not
all the
going to give
West
up.
Coast AFC teams. But
I
yeah,
could
they don't need a quarterback.
see, I could see Denver or Vegas. There's some vacancies where Aaron Rodgers could come in and make those guys contenders. And you look at the weapons that I would be if I was a quarterback. I'd go more Raiders. They're just like Waller, just the dude's the beast of a tight end. And it's like you can do a lot with that.
You can for sure, and then you run into that the whole Derek Carr thing and the whole trouble with that, with him being so loyal to the Raiders. So it's probably going to be the Broncos, which is probably it could be fun, maybe. Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers scoring off 2 times a year. So
That'd be cool. That'd be Monday night, Sunday night matchups for sure. That'd be great.
That is good TV, is what that is. So yeah, weird situation, and obviously we won't know a whole lot until the new league year starts on like the 16th of March is when that starts. But I believe the legal tampering period, I got to pull up a calendar real quick so I can look. Legal tampering, which is the craziest term ever, starts on the 14th of March, that Monday. So you will hear a lot of this person signing with this place. This place is interested in this person, and this place don't like each other. So you'll hear a lot of that starting on the 14th. And the 16th, you really won't hear anything because all those deals will be finalized and really all the news will come out on before then. So I remember last year covering the League New Year for Sports Illustrated. I was like, all right, the 16th, got to block that day off. And then all of a sudden, all the news happened 2 days before that. And it was insane with legal tampering and everything. But all right, Nick.
All right, what's mine?
Yeah. Like I told you, I got 2. It's going to be a game time decision here, and I think I want to go with this one. In this offseason, I know we got a lot of offseason talk going on, but are there any sports that you get into after football gets over? You're like, all right, I really got to shift gears, trying to take a break from football a little bit. Is there a sport that you enjoy watching? Or we talked about the Olympics last week when the Olympics were on. Obviously, I'm all over it. But is there any other sport outside of football that like you really get into once football season's done?
Yeah, it's kind of perfect because with my recent uptick in Chiefs watching and K-State watching, like I'm pretty burnt out on football. So twice a week most weeks, and it's like just paying attention to the rest of the league and college. And then I do high school refereeing too. So when it's done, I full focus into English Premier League and to actual football, not hand egg. And I'm a massive Chelsea supporter. So this is that time of year where I can catch the last half of the Premier League season, and then Champions League, playoffs are happening. And so to me, it's kind of perfect. I can skip the whole fall, winter of Premier League and football and watch Chelsea from here on out. So it's like Saturday, Sundays, and random Mondays, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Champions League. I'm watching Chelsea. I got Chelsea at like 6:30 in the morning, or 8 o'clock in the morning, or 11 o'clock. It's perfect.
Those Sunday Premier League games at 6:30, the vibes are unmatched. Like you wake up super early, you make your cup of coffee and you try not to fall asleep. That's essentially all that it is you sit there and you watch it. I'm a Spurs fan, obviously, so it's kind of hard for me to stay awake for those 6:30 games. Yeah, but so I really like soccer as well, as you can tell by my backdrop here.
I saw that.
Yeah, so Sporting KC is about to start up MLS. They're like 2 days away from their season opener. I'm going to the home opener on March 5th, I believe it is, against the Houston Dynamo. So I will be out there at that game. Big sporting fan, Spurs fan, as I mentioned. So I used to get into like basketball. Like I used to be really big into the NBA and college basketball. There's something that happened with basketball. Maybe it's because the Chiefs started playing longer, right? So it used to be where like the Chiefs would be done. The Chiefs would be like, hey, done, in January. And you're like, okay, this is perfect time to pick up basketball. But like now they're playing until like February. And you're like, well, that's like the season's almost done. Like college basketball, conference tournaments are almost here. It's almost March. and you gotta really pay attention. I can't pay attention to two things at one time. I don't
No,
know why. I just have never been able to follow. Like, I can't follow the Premier League in the fall when the Chiefs are going. I can't do it.
exactly.
I'll like look at the scores every now and again and be like, oh, okay, this is where they are. This is okay. But like once it's over, yep, I'm into it. But I can't follow both at the same time. I really like to watch hockey as well. Hockey's a good sport, and it's just entertaining.
I just can't get into it. I just can't at all.
Yeah. What I like about hockey is there's always action, right? So it's like there's very minimal timeouts. There's always guys, running around with knives on their feet. And I think
razor blades.
The athletic skill you have to like play that sport is just like, I could never do that. And it's like me watching water polo, like in the Olympics. I could never do that.
No.
Those guys are built different, and girls are built different. To play that sport.
Specimens.
When they get out of you ever see them like get out of the pool and they're just like jacked. They're just like ripped and shredded, and you're just like, no wonder you're shredded. You have to move your body at all times when you're in there. So
tread water and sprinting, and people are drowning you. I mean, it's brutal. I like the shots underneath the water, and there's so much action below the surface. It's just unreal. Like, oh, they're just beefing. No, they're not. They're like kicking and clawing, and like it's like a pit fighting down there. It's crazy.
What I remember watching that and thinking that they could like touch the ground, and like when they were like jumping up and throwing it, and then like they showed the underwater shot, and I was like, hang on a second, how are they yeah, they're just woof.
Yeah, that's the best one that they do. This one, and they're just like that, like the goalie and stuff, but they're like floating for like ever. It's like I can barely do it like standing in normal. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun. I think water polo and rugby players are like the fittest top to bottom, because you can look at some old linemen and D line and be like, okay, let's probably more athletic than anybody, but yeah, like as far as just specimens.
I think it's interesting. Okay, I want to give you my other one, because I think this is a good one. And this was brought up by double blind nil. This was brought up by it is history. It's not the only history you're living through. But if this was brought up by Pardon My Take, a very popular sports podcast. I'm sure if you've heard of it.
Which one is that one? Is that Wilbon and Kornheiser?
No, Pardon My Take is with Big Cat and PFD commenter.
Okay.
Yeah. So you kind of know where
Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Disrespect those two legends of the game. And they proposed this question, and I really want to know your answer, because if you had to make a team of 11 of one football player, so you get photocopies, identical copies of one player on to play every position, who would it be?
Is it like a player or like a specific group?
So I think they said like the thing that I saw is like a whole team of Tyreek Hills, or like a whole team of DK Metcalfs or JJ Watts, or a whole team of Aaron Donalds,
Damn. One player. Okay, so I'll think it out loud. Okay, do I want like an Aaron Donald in there? But then, if you got a fast guy, they're not going to catch him. Do I want Tyreek Hill? Because no, they can't protect at the O-line spot. Do I want a Gronk who could block a little bit, but his defensive skills suck? So do I want to go somewhere in the linebacker position, someone who's got some heft, but not really? Or do I want like a D-end, like a TJ Watt that can, be fast? Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. DK Metcalf is a really good one too, because I think just like his size could be really good, and his speed. That one is kind of one of the ones that I thought of right ahead, and I think that they had that on their graphic. I was like, man, that's good. But I was kind of going linebacker as well, like a Fred Warner. I think that would be a fun one to do. I don't know how good Fred is at catching the football, or I think that's kind of the only thing you run into, or throwing the football.
Exactly.
Cooper Kupp could be a fun one, because he threw a pass actually in the Super Bowl. People forget.
It was a terrible pass. It was
not a good pass. Not a good.
He should have been eliminated from MVP. I'm worried about him blocking interior lineman, Derrick Henry. So
Yeah.
you're never getting a playoff, right?
Derrick Henry's a good one.
He's not going to be able to block Derrick Henry coming from that nose guard, and Derrick Henry coming from that 3-tech right back at you. So yeah, and you got to find a guy who can make tackles. This is like This is like the condiment debate, condiment, and it's like, what's your weak point, right? It's like salads. Salads are the condiment where you're like, well, that's the game changer. That's why barbecue sauce makes sense.
Very
but yeah,
so.
I don't think you could get a spot where, because who's going to throw the ball? Like, you don't want Aaron Donald probably sucks at throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to run it a billion times. Power sweep would be brutal with Aaron Donald.
What if you see? I don't even think you can go like quarterback. I don't even think you can go a bunch of Patrick Mahomes because I don't think that works.
You could do a bunch of Lamar Jacksons.
You could. I think I could see a bunch of Lamar Jacksons.
Who would you not want to have? Who would you not want to have? No, we can't.
Mike Glennon. That was unfair to Mike Glennon. I don't know why Mike Glennon was the first.
How did you think that?
That was quick.
That was so quick. That was like you were waiting for that answer. You were just waiting for that answer. Like, oh, wow. Why? How do you know what I just said? And you just said that, right? Yeah. And so you can't. I hate to say, you can't do an O lineman. No O lineman. D lineman at wide receiver. You couldn't do corners or wide receivers.
I don't think so. Fitz Wilfork. Dude, a team full of Vince Wilforks.
You're barreling through things, man.
Dude,
get beat on the deep. Get beat deep.
Who's this? Troy Polamalu? That'd be a good one.
He's too little inside.
Yeah, he's not very. Yeah.
But like, you can't have a safety. You gotta have a big safety, like one of the Legion of Boom safeties.
Yeah. I think Derrick Henry's a very solid. I think that's like very sound.
I think it's the perfect answer.
Yeah. And even with like with DK, he's like too small to go up against Derrick Henry,
line, that's right. You got DK Metcalf at left guard versus Derrick Henry. Who you got one-on-one? But then again, is DK he going to get center help or something to Derrick Henry? You're going to slide every time. Then you got Derrick Henry over your right guard solo versus DK Metcalf.
Dude, you got to blitz every time if you're Henry. You got to outnumber them.
It'd be the coolest game of rugby ever, because you essentially just do Stanford formations, double tight, and then have 4 Derrick Henrys in the backfield, and they all could just be blocking for each other.
Yeah.
I would run Derrick Henry in the in the Wildcat. It'd be Derrick Henry Wildcat. And it'd be like, I'd have 2 plays in my system. Or it's zone right, zone left, and then like the option to pass, an option. That's like 7. Be fun. I like that one.
Well, if you stuck with us all the way to the end of this podcast, thank you for sticking with us through that conversation. In case you missed it, which this isn't a live show, which I don't know why I'm talking about this again, Matt Nagy as quarterback coach to Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator. Those 2 things happened within like a day of each other, right? Those happened pretty quick. I think it was pretty much assumed that was going to happen with Eric Bieniemy. As time kept going on, he would return as offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy coming as quarterback coach. I think it's a good move for the Chiefs. I think it can be. I don't want to say good. I think it's an okay move for the Chiefs. I'm not overly excited about it, but I do think he can add a little bit more outside perspective than what Bieniemy could add. I think that's kind of what the tone is, and I think everyone kind of anticipated Nagy to come back to Kansas City, especially after he didn't get really very many interviews for a head coaching job. So, see if he can kind of right that ship. Nick, final thoughts on this whole show in general.
It's a fun one. And who was the Bears? Did Nagy coach Fields? Who was it?
Yeah, he would have coached last year was his last year with the Bears. So he coached the first year of Fields, and he had Mitch Trubisky to begin with.
So, I mean, he can bring some experience to that, some nuances, some wrinkles. So I always like when a weary traveler returns to his home, and Andy Reid and Mahomes and Bieniemy. So I'm looking forward. It's good positive news on this Friday. And to leave you with something, memes get me through the day, especially with all this turmoil going on with Ukraine and Russia invading Ukraine. is the meme that says, "I am sick of living through history." You know, it's like I don't want to experience any more history being made either.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That sentiment is a good one to send the show off. So thank you to Jack Stack Barbecue. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. This has been Outside the Trenches. Thank you all for listening. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Watching this on YouTube, drop a like, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. We got a ton of draft content up now, bunch of player highlights. I know I blew up your guys' YouTube feed if you subscribe already. I dropped 61 videos in a day. I apologize. But now we're up to like 84 or something like that in that playlist. So make sure you go check out those highlights of those players that you'll be hearing their names called on draft night. So make sure you go check that out. And we'll see you guys next time.